This episode of DDO Players News is brought to you by the Easy Roller Dice Company. Check out EasyRollerDice.com for all of your dice needs. Metal dice, regular dice, specialty dice, any dice in between. You can find them at Easy Roller Dice. Don't forget about their full line of dice bags and roller dice trays as well. EasyRollerDice.com for all of your game-playing dice needs. Once again, thank you to Easy Roller Dice for sponsoring this episode of DDO Players News.
Good day, everyone. This is Pine Noodles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and on the tabletop. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
Hey now, everybody. How's it going?
Hello there, Drac. How are things going on in isolated Barovia?
Busy.
Busy.
Hence, our audience can tell because the podcast has been weird in its release schedule lately. And that is totally my fault.
As opposed to the usual weirdness in the release schedule?
Well, okay, fine. Sure. Touché, sir. Touché.
Let's then head into the news over in DDO, which there isn't much because apparently the Lamania build that we had since the last show wasn't exactly anything to... was even less solid than most Lamania builds.
Yeah, there was a couple things that was on Lamania that was not the right things, so we decided not to talk about that. Quarterman did say on his weekly Wednesday show there will be a new Lamania build probably this week, so if that is the case, the next episode we will definitely talk about that because there is some good stuff. There's a loot revamp, and there's new Warlock packs. So it's exciting. I want to talk about it, but I want to wait until we actually have a good Lamania build to talk about.
Okay, well, it's good to hear that the Scoundrels will have new musical instruments. Oh, that type of loot. Okay.
I see what you did there.
Let's then head into the Chronicle for this week, issue 383, and... that looks like something from the Heart of the Matter would be my best guess.
I do believe you are correct, and it looks a little warm as well.
Yeah. He's warm-hearted.
Oh! You're on a roll today, Pinelane. Let's jump into our community spotlights. The Hoarder is a new desktop utility for loot. Click over to read more about it and to download it. And I played with this last night. This is pretty freaking cool, actually. This will let you mark down all of the loot that you own. So you will know exactly what you have and what it does, what the effects does. And you can click to see all of the cool loot that you have. Or in my case, all of the cool loot that I want that I never get because stupid RNG.
Oh, or in my case, all the cool loot I have, but I forget that I have and never use.
Well, okay, there's that for you, yes. I just see the stuff and I'm like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. But definitely check this out. This is pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yes, but with the revamp, is that going to become obsolete? The database going to become obsolete?
My guess is they'll probably update it. I don't know. That's a good question. But check it out until then, at least. But I'm sure they'll update it. Pretty cool. Also in the community spotlight, Axel does a DDO cover. If you are familiar with the Evening Star music that plays when you go to Evening Star, Axel figured out how to play that on guitar. He actually just listened to it over and over and over, and he actually made the notes and everything out himself. So check it out. Pretty cool little video that he did. Massively OP is Finding the Gatekeepers. Click over to watch their video running through the Gatekeepers quest. We do have let's go to the fan site news section before we go to the Chronicle comment. What am I thinking? It's been so long, I don't even know how to do this podcast, finally. DDO Cast is talking the second season of Hardcore and how they thought it went in episode 599. They are going to record their 100th. Wow, I need really some more coffee today. They're going to record their 600th episode today, actually. That is amazing. 600 episode. We got a long way to go, Pineleaf. Long way to go.
Long way to go. Yep.
DDO stream, of course, your first stop to find DDO on Twitch. There is a D&D night over on DDO stream. Don't forget about that. DDO PL is fighting pirates, and a Bard Life plays with a full stream deck. Twitch also has a lot of players twitching. Kiwi Hana is running R4. Cetus DDO is showing off some DPS. And over on YouTube, lots of stuff going on there. Sherman Gaming does a Let's Play. Caffeine Injected, which I approve of the name, plays a Paladin. And Strim Tom is figuring out which crossbow really is best. And you might want to watch that, Pineleaf, because you're a crossbow user. Actually, I haven't watched his video yet, but Strimtime always does good stuff. And Grim Rorty has an alchemical romance. Click over to read all about that. Spoiler alert, it's about the alchemist.
Oh, what a shock.
I know exactly. It's like, what? Really? In our chronicle comment this week. Okay, I'm not sure what Cordovan was doing when he came up with this question, but okay. An airship is traveling east at 40 miles per hour. Another airship is traveling west at 80 miles per hour. Between them, a player character at maximum encumbrance is falling at 60 miles per hour. What is the player character wearing?
I can tell you what the player character definitely is not wearing.
Okay,
a ring of feather falling.
Okay, I was going to say probably not feather falling if you're falling that fast.
Yes. Well, yeah. Falling at 60 miles per hour, what is the player character wearing? I could just imagine that Cordovan's son must have had either one of those math or physics problems or whatever.
Yes, I don't know. Yeah. This definitely sounds like an SAT question that you would get.
Yes. And so what is the player character wearing? Well, I am just hoping that they are wearing a very, very thick padded armor so that it can help to break the fall.
Right. It's going to hurt when you land, sir. That is the best I got for you.
Actually, what have been really, you know what the player character really should be wearing, since they obviously don't have a ring of feather falling?
A parachute.
Yes, they haven't quite deployed it yet, obviously, but they must be getting ready to deploy that thing.
Yes. So a strange chronicle comment this week. The screenshot of the week is Winter arrives for Larapins in the 464th DDO screenshot of the week. And thanks for Larapin for sending that in. Definitely Winter. Looks very wintry and cold in that screenshot.
Wintry and cold. A little chilly. Then when they head into the store sales?
We can. It's Hack and Slash week. 20% off Slayer Boost, Loot Boost, and Treasure Hunter Elixirs. And the Select Shared Storage, which is ever popular when it's on sale. That sale runs through May the 28th. And the weekly coupon code is going to get you a free Wand of Magic Missile with a coupon code FIRE Missiles. FIREMISSIELES. Also through the 28th.
Then that is it for the game news. Now, before we go on, I have this box here.
Oh, yes. Oh, I forgot about the box. The box has arrived.
Yes, the box has arrived. And so, am I allowed to look inside this thing now?
Yes, gonna say, did you open it, or did you follow directions and not open the box?
It is. I have prepared the opening, but I have not actually finished opening it.
Okay. Yes.
And I have not yet looked inside of it.
For people that are like, what the heck are they talking about? You might remember a few weeks back, I talked about Evil Beaker had sent me something for me and something for Pine Leaf. So I went ahead and mailed it to Pine Leaf, and I told him, do not open that until the podcast because we want your reaction. This has to do with something we talked about on the podcast. So go ahead, open it up, Pine Leaf, and let's get your reaction.
Very well. All right. The lid is now open. I was doing that while you were talking.
Oh, okay.
And now I got an... Oh, that envelope looked like it was for padding or something?
Yes. The thing is inside of the envelope.
Well, apparently it fell out of the envelope because even though it says do not open till we record, the envelope is open.
Oh no! I hope
and the item is right here.
I hope it didn't break.
Assuming it was intended to be sort of a... Oh, nice! Okay.
He figured out what it was.
All right. Yeah, I was trying to say, why on earth do we have a sleeping pig here? Of course, that episode title a few weeks back.
Yes, and you talked about you had a sleeping pig in Lotro, so yeah.
I had a sleeping pig in Lotro. Now I have a sleeping pig for my...
You do. So you could put your sleeping pig right on your desktop, so you can always see your sleeping pig in real life. There you go. Yeah, Beaker told me he was doing that, and I'm like, that is amazing.
And he sent you one also?
He sent me an Orcus, actually.
Oh, an Orcus.
Yeah, because we had talked about, remember the Chronicle comment a couple weeks back was if you could print a 3D mini of something from Lotro or from DDO, what would you want? And of course, I said I wanted my own militia. He tried to do me a succubus, but couldn't get it to print right. And he couldn't find a model that he liked. So he did Orcus instead, which is kind of a tie into D&D night on DDO stream. The one game we're doing, Orcus wanted a jewel that I had, and I told him to basically pound sand. And then that sent us to the abyss. So that's the tie-in for me. And then for you, of course, it's your tie-in because you were talking about how Lotro had little mini sleeping pigs that they gave as pets. So there's your tie-in. And I forgot to take a picture of that, so you have to take a picture of that and send it to me so I can put it in the show notes so everybody can see your amazing little sleeping pig that you have. And once again, thanks to Evil Beaker for sending that in.
All right.
I was hoping that was the reaction you were going to have, and you had the exact reaction I thought you were going to have, so it's great.
This is 3D printed, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I had a close look at something that's been 3D printed, so I never was completely familiar with the texture. Yeah.
He used, I forgot what he said he used to print that. I'll have to ask him again. I don't remember what he used. He used a special kind of filament for it, so I will ask him for sure what he used, or I'm sure he will comment on this episode, or send an email in because he listens to the show.
Then, with that out of the way, we can go and see what's going on the tabletop. And we are going to begin with Essen, which was scheduled for October, but apparently has been canceled.
Yes. The year of no conventions rolls on. Yep, COVID-19's claiming another one. This time, as you said, it is the Essen Game Fair, which just so happens to be the largest tabletop gaming convention in the world. It was scheduled for October 22nd to the 25th. Not this year because of COVID-19. Next event scheduled for October 14th to the 17th in 2021.
Now, what's interesting about this one is if they're already canceling gaming conventions that are scheduled for October, then we're thinking, well, is it Origins scheduled for October now?
Right. It's the same thing I thought. My guess is the new Origin schedule is not going to happen either.
Oh, right.
But we'll see. But yes.
Now, Origins is doing an online version at the original scheduled date.
Right. Yeah. And tickets for that actually went on sale. They are on sale currently. I think there is still. Actually, I guess they're not even limiting the tickets since it's online. So you can go get tickets for that as well if you want. But alas, no Spiel this year. Have to wait till 2021.
Now, that means that the only uncanceled convention left is Gen Con, right?
We are gathered here today to mourn the loss of Gen Con and our summer vacations. No, sadly, no Gen Con this year either. We all knew it was coming. I don't know why it took them so long to announce it. It was the day after Essen announced they canceled. Gen Con 2 canceled their convention. The Gen Con organizers said it is with a heavy heart that we must announce the cancellation of Gen Con 2020 this August in Indianapolis. The safety and health of our attendees, exhibitors, and staff are amongst our utmost importance to us, and we cannot, in good conscience, host a gathering of thousands while doing so could threaten the health of so many. Like you, we eagerly anticipate Gen Con every summer, and every summer is a time of fun, connection, and celebration of our shared love of the tabletop gaming and geek culture. We hope that the world will look different by next. We had hoped that the world would look different by August, but after closely following the development of the COVID-19 outbreak, having discussions with our partners in Indianapolis, and keeping with guidance from the CDC, we can't see a clear picture of how soon it will be safe for all of us to gather again. So the responsible choice is to cancel the convention for this year. They did say if you have a badge, if you had bought your Gen Con badge already, you can opt to roll it over till next year. So if you would like to do that, you can just get in touch with them and say, hey, just roll that over so you won't have to worry about buying your badge next year. You already have a badge. They did say, though, if you wanted to help out and you've already purchased your badge and you're willing and you don't want to run it forward to 2021, you can help them out by just donating your badge back. And instead of giving you a refund, they're going to use that money to pay their staff and other things just to kind of, help with the financial hit that I'm sure they're taking, even with insurance. I'm sure they're still going to take a hit. So all badge holders should be contacted by email with instructions. If you didn't get that, there is a link over in the show notes, and in the article on DDO Players on how to get your money back. Also, they did say that all pop-up events that they had scheduled for local game stores, those are all canceled as well. Like Origins, they too are going to do an online thing July 30th through August 2nd, which is actually when Gen Con was scheduled to happen. They're going to have several different events going on for that, so stay tuned for more information on that. But you too can still attend Gen Con online, at least. It's not going to be the same. But they did announce they're going to be back, hopefully. August 5th through the 8th, 2021 is the next Gen Con. So sad.
They also announced, though, that apparently And while they were discussing this with Columbus, at the same time, they also did an extension to their contract with Columbus.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Sorry.
Wrong convention.
Wrong convention.
Wrong city, wrong convention. Right. Yeah. They did. Yeah. Gen Con did announce they have extended their contract to 2026 through Indianapolis. So that's awesome. It was scheduled to come up 2023. So they added 3 more years, which is awesome. Which we've also talked about on the show, which I don't think they'll ever leave Indy. So
yeah.
My guess is that it's going to keep extending, and because Indy's building new hotels, and Indy's bending over backwards for them because Indy loves Gen Con. And Gen Con loves Indy, so it all works out.
It all works out. Now, I think that it became obviously, because no matter what happens with the states opening up slowly and stuff like this, is they're pretty much saying that the last thing that they're likely going to lift are going to be large mass gatherings.
Right. Yeah. It's
because those are the one. In fact, because I think a lot of the worst infection incidents have always been associated with large mass gatherings. So that's the last thing they want to last thing they're going to lift.
I've been saying it for weeks. Every time something else canceled, I'm like, okay, Gen Con, when are you going to announce this? Because we knew it was coming. I'm sad about it, but I'm glad they did this. It was the responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think it made a lot of people's decisions way easier, because I know there was probably a lot of people debating, okay, do I feel safe? Do I want to go to Gen Con?
Right.
Am I still going to go? But if I don't go, it's going to suck because I know I'm missing out on Gen Con, but yet I don't feel safe. So I think that helped in that. My guess is whatever conditions, as we talked about, I think it was on last week's show, we talked about, I'm sure there was some clause in their contract. There was some condition that got met to where their insurance kicked in. So I think that's why they opted to do this, because they took less of a financial hit than they were going to. It just sucks. What really, really sucks about this is the city of Indianapolis. I feel sorry for them. All of the restaurants that make so much money from Gen Con. I know a lot of restaurants make more money during Gen Con week than they do all year. So there's a lot of local restaurants that are going to be hurting because they're not going to have the Gen Con crowd.
Well, they're hurting enough already.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're already hurting. And then at least this was kind of a bright spot for them. It's like, oh, hey, well, at least we'll make some money that week because, all the Gen Con people are awesome and all of the Indianapolis restaurant people are awesome. And it's just kind of sad all the way around, but I'm happy Gen Con finally did this.
And we can only hope that sometime early next year, well before Gen Con, they have that vaccine ready.
I hope so. We hope that our next year is going to look way different than 2020 did, because 2020 hadn't been so great.
Then, with that done, let's head into something a little bit lighter, where CMON is partnering with Warner Brothers Consumer Products on ScoobyDoo the board game?
ScoobyDoo the board game. There's a lot of Scooby-Doo games coming out here recently. That's right. Come On did say Scooby-Doo the board game is a cooperative family game for 1 to 5 players. This is in cooperation with Warner Brothers Consumer Products. Cooperative family game, 1 to 5 players. As I said, players take on the role of Scooby-Doo, Fred, Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy, and they will ride the mystery machine around town. They're going to build traps to catch the villains before they frighten all of the citizens away. But just like our favorite episodes, even the best laid plans can go awry, as the monsters, which is controlled by the game itself, may make a move that players never expected. This is going to feature minis for all of this stuff, because of course it is Come On, so they got to do minis. Scooby-Doo the board game is family friendly, easy to learn, and it's going to feature 3 levels of difficulty: easy, medium, and hard. And there's going to be special rules for playing both as a 2-player game or a solo game. So look for this later in the year. ScoobyDoo the board game. Just one of many Scooby-Doo games we have talked about here recently on the podcast.
Then with that, then let's head into some nominations, because even though we not going to have a Nessun game for that, we of course will still have our Spiel the Jahres awards for this year, and they have announced the nominations.
They have the Game of the Year, the Spiel des Jahres, My City by Rainer Knizia, published by Cosmos, Nobaluna by Uwe Rosenberg, publisher edition Spielweiss and Pegasus Spiel, and Pictures by Daniela and Crystal Store, published by PD Vertag.
Is it? Well, Daniela and Christian Store. Let's see.
And I can honestly say the only one of these games I've ever actually heard of is My City.
Yeah, there. Someone was noting, I think it was the Game Boy Geek, I think it was, saying that looks like that the Spiel des Jahres over the last few years, the games for it have been getting lighter and lighter, and that the ones for the Kinderspiel, which we'll talk about next, have been getting more and more into the old Spiel category. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah, kind of. That's kind of, and I did. I think you were right. I think that was a Game Boy Geek because I watched that video and I was like, you were totally correct. They have been. So yeah, predictions on this. I have no idea since I don't know any of these games.
Yeah, never played any of them.
We'll just say Rainer Knizia because it's Rainer Knizia. So we'll say My City is my prediction for this. And I do know that I did get an email from my rep at Cosmos. My City is going to be released here in the States soon because this game is actually not available here. But it will be very, very soon. They are rushing as much as they can to get this released here in the States, especially to take advantage of this nomination.
Right. Then what about the Kinderspiel?
The Enthusiast Game of the Year, which recognizes heavier games for experienced gamers. The winners of these will be announced July 20th, just like the Spiel. The winner, I totally lost my place here. Sorry. The Cartographer by Jody Arden. It's published by Pegasus Spiel. The Crew by Thomas Singh, published by Cosmos. And The King's Dilemma by Lorenzo Silvia. Not even going to pretend I can pronounce that next name. You know who you are, sir. Carlo Borelli. That is published by Horrible Guild and Heidelberg Games. So The Cartographer, The Crew, and The King's Dilemma. I have actually heard of all three of these games. So I haven't played any of them. I want to play The King's Dilemma because I've heard that is an amazing, amazing game.
Now, I can only imagine that the name they're showing for cartographers here is a literal translation of the German name. I can only imagine is the reason why it's written that way, because the English version is called Cartographers, not the Cartographer.
See, I was wondering about, is it the same game or is it a different game? That's what I was confused about.
Well, everything I've seen on this is indicating that's the same game.
It is the same game. Okay. All right.
Right. Because all the pictures they're showing when I've seen the nomination list are showing the same game.
Are they? Okay. Okay.
And
so yeah, I think it's
designer. So same game.
Okay. So, all right. It is. I didn't actually look that up. I want to say here in the States, then that is Thunderworks Games, I think is the one that published that here.
Yes. Thunderworks for the States.
Okay. That's what I thought. So it's Pegasus Spiel for the German edition and Thunderworks for our edition.
Yeah. The German name seems to be Der Kartograf. So therefore, that sounds like it would literally translate into cartographers.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I mean, that will literally translate to the cartographer. Cartographers, it's just the English name. Yeah.
So this is a tough one because I've heard good, and this is another one. I haven't played any of these. I've heard amazing things about all these games. I know the Crew is getting a lot of buzz right now. A lot of people are talking about the Crew, and a lot of people are even calling the Crew their game of the year already. So
Yeah.
maybe that's going to get the win for this. But I have heard really good things about the King's Dilemma, though. I really want to play the King's Dilemma because it sounds so much fun.
Yeah, I have. I don't think I've seen anything on the King's Dilemma yet. I think I tried seeing some things relating to the Crew, and it's well, it's very strange having the concept of a cooperative trick-taking game. First, wrapping your head around that concept,
Yeah, exactly.
and and playing that single player sounds like it's going to be very, very difficult to do. So that's sort of the tricky thing. Is I think they have special official rules for two-player. I think some people are trying to figure out a one-player one because I think there are some communication limitations that are in this game. And
Last I read about it, yes.
yeah, and that there are certain times where you're allowed to provide information by placing down a card and you place a chip down onto it to say that saying that, well, this card is either a high one, a low one, or the only one I've got for this particular card in there. So you communicate that in there with that, and you can do that once per round. But the point is, if you've got that mechanism is undermined if you're playing single player, unless you're playing with two dummies or something like that, which I suppose playing with two dummies might be possible. If when you're playing with two, you do have a dummy in there because you have to have at least three hands. But yeah, so those are the three in there. Okay, the cartographers, which I have played on a few occasions. The Crew, which I've seen videos, one or two of them, but I'm not too sure if it would be good enough single player to want to try. And the King's Dilemma, maybe I should check it out some point.
So yeah, this one's too tough to call. So I have no even guess on who's going to win this.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that I don't know, just the idea of Kinderspiel and a roll and write that, or sounds like a strange combo.
Yeah, and once again,
okay, it's a draw and write, but
still, yeah. So yeah, the three games that are nominated for the Kinderspiel, which of course is the children's game of the year, is Photo Fish, and that's published by Logos. I'm gonna say Logis. I don't know. I've never heard of the company, never heard of the game. Speedy Roll, which is published by Lifestyle Board Games and Plantic. Again, never heard of either one of these. And We Are the Robots, published by NSB. Winner is going to be announced June 15th on the Kinderspiel. No idea because I haven't heard of any of these games.
Yeah.
Which the weird thing about the Kinderspiel this year that I thought was strange, there's no Haba game nominated this year. Haba always gets nominated for the Kinderspiel. So I thought that was interesting that no Haba this year. And I know Haba's had some games that came out this year. So I just found that interesting. But so yeah, so once again, no idea about any of these games. So I don't know if you've heard of any of these. So I cannot even predict this winner because no clue.
Well, considering that how little I know about the children's game front, I would think that the parents will know more about those than I would.
Right. So, yeah. So, congratulations to all the people that were nominated. We'll find out July 20th on the Spiel and the Kinderspiel, and then the Kinderspiel is going to be June 15th. The winners will be announced.
Now, there's going to be an interesting question I have on this is one of the board game shows, what are they called? Game Night. Game Night traditionally does all the Spiel nominees and plays through them and has an episode. Usually with the Kinderspiel, they play all three of them in one episode. And if there's one that's heavier on this, I think they've already played Cartographers, though, so they played that just before the announcement on there, so they probably don't need a separate one for that. But they try to play them on. The question is, will they be able to arrange it, because you've got only two of them that are able to be at the same table at the same time. A lot of the stuff they've been showing lately are stuff that they filmed just before the lockdowns.
Right. Yeah. I
If they
did
want
that.
to, yeah.
That will be interesting to see what they can do. I wonder if a lot of these games they might do virtually on like Tabletop Simulator
Oh,
or
they do
something
have
like
ways of
that.
doing it. Cartographers, they did actually do Cartographers a couple weeks back, and that was obviously filmed after the lockdown because they connected together through an online system in there, and so you had them at different locations. So I know they could do, but there's some games that don't work very well in that, because the crew, I think, would be, well, the crew, they could do a 2-player version, since they do have Lincoln and his wife are, well, we'll be together on that, so they could play the 2-player version on that without any trouble. But some of these other ones, if you want more players, because they like to play 4-player games often.
Right. Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do that for sure. I didn't even
Yeah,
think about that until you
yeah,
mentioned it, but yeah.
right. But the crew, I don't think, can be played well
No,
in a,
that would be hard to do for
because that'll be
sure.
done well, because you'd want. Now I did see someone play the crew, I think, on Tabletop Simulator. So I did, because I think the one, oh, that's right, because it's not, because that's hard to get in the US or something, I think. Right?
Which one? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the crew. I think it was.
It's getting better. I know Cosmos. Well, I did get a press release on that too. That you should start seeing that more and more available on the online retailers, and then of course your local game stores should have it as soon as they reopen. Uh, Cosmos did say that they printed more, so there is a second print run coming quickly.
Yeah, because the listings on Amazon looks like they've got is the type of things you usually see when it's hard to get, so to
Yeah,
speak.
that should be getting better.
All right. So I think I'm waiting for that to happen before I spring for that one, especially since
Yeah,
how they're going to handle solo is still a little bit unsure on my end. That's it for all the Spiel nominees, right?
that is it. That is what they've announced.
Then I guess we can head into our week in gaming.
Silence, crickets. Pine Leaf,
Sign.
what did you do?
Okay, you had one of
Yeah,
those weeks,
yeah, I had one of those weeks. Yeah, I didn't do any gaming at all.
right?
Any
And we didn't have a chance to get our regular thing together,
right?
because
Yep, yep.
apparently the only thing that started up so far is your Thursday thing that sometimes
It
interrupts us.
did, yes. So, and then of course, yeah, happened to be this week. So, yeah. So, but this week, I already have plans in place to play some games, some tabletop games, and some other games. So, next episode, I will actually have a week in gaming.
Try out the new expansion in ESO, which means we have to remember to patch on Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
That way we don't spend half of our game time on Thursday patching.
Right. Patching for Greymore, that's right.
All right, then we'll go in what I did, because I had something I was doing on the Lotro side. I didn't have time to do any DDO this week, so no DDO, but I did do my usual stuff with Minecraft. It's a couple of Mage Rages for weeks 3 and 4 on there, which I'd say pretty average times on there, so nothing great or poor on that particular one. Then I finished up my run for the May Are You Hardcore, and the May Are You Hardcore was really crazy because you had fire descending all over the world and stuff like that. It's very crazy when you're playing Minecraft hardcore, and that's tough enough as it is because even without all the crazy things that are happening in there, you've got the mobs are at their normally will get in the game, and plus, if you die, the game is over. So somehow I survived there and managed to keep things from getting too wacky out of control. But I don't think my performance there was exactly stellar. But let's just say I'm not quite hardcore, but I somehow survived. Then on tabletop, now I think I've talked about For Against Darkness a couple of times.
Yes, you have several times actually.
Yes. Well, they just came out with a new standalone game that is based on the engine from For Against Darkness, and this new game is called Alone Against Fear. And in this case, instead of being a group of adventurers going into a dungeon, you're going out into a post-horror apocalyptic town trying to find stuff for the survivors. You have some sort of mission that you're going on in there, and you're investigating through the town and running through all sorts of crazy things along the way, of course. Things such as zombies and even worse things. And everything was going nice and well. You know how things go in horror type games. Everything looks like it's going nice and well until whack!
Everything goes good until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't, yeah. And so I had 2 consecutive very much. Boy, did I get the worst thing I possibly did. All I did was a little bit of a search, thinking maybe I could find something a little extra here. And then, of course, I found the secret alien base where they jumped out at me and attacked. I had to use hand grenades in order to get rid of them, and the sound of the grenades attracted more mobs, and that's what
Oh
killed
no.
me.
Ooh, I'll check this game out. This sounds kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, and you could get this at Drive Through RPG, Alone Against Fear.
Alone Against Fear. Well, I will look into that. That sounds fun.
And then, I believe I told you that I've had a little bit of an issue with gaming space recently because my work computer got brought here, and
Yes. Yep.
yeah, actually things came because my replacement work computer has come in, so now I've got 2 work computers
Oh,
able to give
jeez.
me space.
Oh, dear.
So I'm hoping to at least be able to get the old work computer retired and everything onto the new one, so I don't have to worry about the old computer. But for now, I now have 2 work computers there. So that was but it did have one good thing on it, is it finally got me to the point of going out and clearing out an area for a new gaming space, for my permanent gaming space, which is like how long has this been
Exactly.
not been doing? It's like when, because I think I received the gaming table 2 years ago. And it's only this week I finally got around to building the thing.
Oh, jeez. I even forgot you had that gaming table. I do remember a long time ago on the podcast you talked about that, and you said,
Yeah.
I've got to put that together.
You got about that. So this week I finally got around to putting that thing together. And I'll have to say that putting together a gaming table by yourself very definitely falls under the category of a non-trivial task.
I'm sure.
Because there are a couple of points on there where a third hand might have come in handy.
Yeah, I bet it probably would have. I can only imagine.
Yeah, because we are talking about a hardwood table, so therefore that means some of the components are going to be really, really heavy. And I'm amazed I managed to get that all together in there. And I'm always have trouble with that whenever I say, I've got to assemble this thing. Well, this is going to... well, that's why I put the thing off for 2 years before getting it together. But I finally got that thing together and all nice and standing. And I broke in the table by playing some Aeons End because
Naturally.
Because I lost my gaming space. That meant that I've been falling behind on the Aeons End solo marathon, because 2 rounds ago I was interrupted. I was okay. I can't play any further in this round, so I had to surrender that round and opted to sleep the next round, which is one of the options that if you can't defeat a round, then you do have the option of sleeping the next round, or you're going to go into the next round very, very battered. So I decided, all right, let's sleep through this round. And then when I slept through that round, I lost the first 2 weeks. So I just managed to get into last night, be able to get in my first round of that, then 2 more rounds of this. And, well, the third attempt, I wasn't nearly as battered but the first 2 attempts, I was heavily, heavily battered. The third attempt is, well, I'm starting to get something that resembles the possibility that I might be able to do better next time, but I think the solo marathon is just not my favorite way to play Aeons End. So, yeah, but there is that. I much prefer playing expeditions, which are within the game. So that's something in there. But anyway, I played 3 rounds of Aeons End in order to break in the table, and maybe next week I'll have a larger variety of games that I could bring forth. Now that I have a gaming table, and I should be able to play some larger games that I've been able to play in the past, because my old gaming space was, I think, less than half the size of the new one, and was very awkwardly placed. So I think the next one is either at least twice the size, or is much better in the way it's arranged, so that I could maybe, who knows, maybe not next week, but maybe I could get some Gloomhaven played or something like that.
Nice.
Because, yes, I could actually have space to try it out.
So you actually have space now.
Or either, maybe if not Gloomhaven, then maybe those later episodes. Because whenever I play Castle Ravenloft, I'm always improvising, trying to get because you know how Castle Ravenloft can sometimes sprawl all over the place.
Sometimes, yeah, I can. Yeah,
sometimes it can.
depends.
So I am always improvising in order to try to do this thing. Okay, well, I never need to go there again, so I might take off those tiles and move the thing over or something like that, which is not exactly the best way to play Ravenloft. So I think I actually have plenty of space to play Ravenloft the next time I play that. Now, as for video games, in addition to Minecraft and, of course, Lotro in there, while I think it was at the end of, right after we recorded the last episode or something like that, Draculetta was looking around on Kickstarter. I forgot for what reason, but he was looking around probably because of Frosthaven or something like that.
Yeah, I gotta say, we were looking something up about Frosthaven.
Yes, we were looking around, and then Drac somehow wandered onto a Kickstarter for a game called Black Book, which is inspired by Slavic folklore. So I decided to check out the prologue in there, because the prologue is on Steam. So I downloaded the prologue, and that will give you an idea of how the game is supposed to be playing. You get the background to the story in this. Since it is the prologue, so we're going to give a lot of background to the story, and it also gives you the basics on how the game is going to be played. So because you have these nice little things in there, you get to make a decision on whether or not you want to back the Kickstarter or something like that. And they are going along in the Kickstarter. I think they're about halfway through that right now.
So what did you think of the prologue?
I had fun playing the prologue in there. So I was playing. In fact, I went through it twice, so I was having fun with that.
Well, I guess so.
And I will say my best way of describing Black Book is Slay the Spire done in a way that more suits my taste, I think. It's probably the best way to put it.
So, Slay the Spire, but better.
Yeah, have you ever played Slay the Spire or seen that?
Unfortunately, yes. It sucks. I hate it. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Slay the Spire done right.
Oh, well, excellent. Okay.
At least that's my impression.
Yeah, I was
I
not a fan of Slay the Spire at all.
Yeah, okay, what is it that you didn't like on that? That way I could see whether or not this fixes that for you.
Ah, God, there was a lot. I can't even tell you the number one thing. There was just a lot.
Oh, all right. Well, you could try the Black Book prologue. You could try
Yeah,
Black Book
I will
prologue,
check
and
that out.
that should give you an idea of how it operates. As I said, that gives you a good informed decision. So you can decide whether the stuff you didn't like about Slay the Spire is what you didn't like is also in Black Book, or if it takes care of it as it did on my
Right,
end.
right. Well, I will check that out.
All right. And that takes care of my week in gaming. We currently have 13 supporters on Patreon, and if you'd like to help support DDO players, you could go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. And we use the money there to help with our podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. If you would like to, instead of joining Patreon, just give us a one-time donation, you could send that to drac@doplayers.com. And we actually have an email this week. What's this all about?
We do. It's an older email that I forgot to include a couple weeks ago.
Whoops.
Just to be honest, this is an older email that we got. I completely forgot about it until I was in my email the other day, and I'm like, why do I have a red email in here? And I'm like, oh, we forgot to talk about this. So yeah, it's from Stinger, who often writes into the show. He says, just catching up on the March podcast. Have to make more time now since I'm not commuting. Yep, we understand that. I hope you are both coping okay with the weird world we now live in. But I just have one question. I was left a bit confused by Drac's review of Rise of the Tomb Raider. Did you like it or not? I'm not sure you were very clear on the point. And if you remember, that is a funny joke that he said. That was quite a while because it was in March. That was quite a while ago. If you missed that episode or whatever, Rise of the Tomb Raider, I went on a little rant about Rise of the Tomb Raider. I actually rage quit the game and said it was the worst game ever made in the history of video games. Something like that. So yeah. So I can see why Stinger was a little confused if I liked it or not, but it's fine, Stinger. Thanks for writing it. As always, Stinger.
All right, so a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek letter.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, if you would like to send us a tongue-in-cheek letter, or perhaps any other type, you can send it to podcast@ddoplayers.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter at the Players Alliance @PlayersAlliance, DDO Players @DDO Players, Dracula @Dracula_72, and Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles. Or you could follow Drac on Twitch at Dracula_72. That depends on whether or not we are going to do any streaming.
Right. Which I'm gonna try to before we play Thursday, because we're starting our ESO this Thursday. I'm gonna try to get ESO streaming working so we can actually stream that, because we're starting Heaven and Hell this week. So fingers crossed I can get ESO to stream, because last time I tried it didn't work too well. Hopefully I can get it fixed.
The Players Alliance has 3 shows on Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Caesar time.
Okay, all right. Sometimes Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, sometimes on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We have
Supposedly Mondays.
Allegedly Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Exactly. We have DDO Players News. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern time, we have Lotro Players News. And if you wish to see XP Quest, because XP Quest is back, and you can follow at XP Quest on Twitter to find out when that show goes live next. And just remember, though, XP Quest is, shall we say, not Pineleaf friendly, so I cannot say whether or not I could recommend that show.
No, you wouldn't last about 2 minutes into that show, Piley.
Yes, and you could join us for our shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pilot Mules reminding you to socialize responsibly.